Well, things got a little bit crazy pretty fast. I want to thank everybody for coming. Today is Wednesday. Today's video is called Chaos Imminent. And I've got a brand new setup, so let's hope everything works. Fingers crossed. Let's not jinx it. Anyway, sorry about the pardon my dust yesterday. But the question is today, are things about to get a little bit nutty? We had Bitcoin cross $100,000 for the 6th time in the last month or so. And we have Senator Lummis chiming in. And we have some crazy Bitcoin predictions from people in the know, as well as a mathematical prediction of the T effect, the Trump effect. I might as well say it now, who cares? We'll talk about some FASB simulations for any accountants in the audience, the impact of FASB on MicroStrategy and what it could mean. Also, the impact of 40 billion and a multiplier based just off of the Bitcoin ETFs. Lots of charts, lots of models, lots of data that you will find nowhere else. Thank you all for coming. And we're up 10K since Monday. Hard to believe. Anyway, let's try to jump into the slides. Hopefully they work. And disclaimer, this is not financial advice. And shout out to as well everybody on Patreon that make this possible and make everything we do possible. Really appreciate that. From Dodal, loving Patreon and loving MicroStrategy. Thank you so much. Yes, and by the way, MicroStrategy has been a volatile beast. Apologize for that, but with great vitality comes volatility. And we'll share a chart on that too in a minute. So let's get into it. First of all, Bitcoin, as we speak live, has had a strong day so far. Up to 99,803. It went as high as about 100 and... Let me get this number right. Make sure I don't screw up. It went to 100,711. And it's kind of meandering down, but a lot of things are actually dark green. Sol up 8.5%. ETH up 6.5%. That weird thing, XRP, is up nearly 12%. That's such... some things just don't make sense in crypto still. But that's okay. What are you going to do? Enjoy. Now let's look at this little chart. This is a little tweet I sent out earlier. The 6th piercing of 100K is the 6th time a charm. Some people say 3rd time is a charm. I decided to say 6th time is a charm. Who knows? It's just volatile. The point is, we have got up $10,000 since Monday, which is bonkers. DCA Monday, we were like, you didn't get the DCA pump on Monday, but that's okay. But let's get into the news, because this is where things get really nutty. And by the way, thank you to the mods in the chat. Hope my audio and everything is fine. Let me know. Yes, Black Hole. Thank you, TNT Tesla. American Beijing is here. Sean Donnelly's here. K8 is here. The whole team is here. Appreciate you all. And also, I missed something. And this is Zeno. Thank you too. Go away. Leave me alone. Stop. A new computer. And somehow it's taking calls. Sorry about that. Again, pardon my dust. Bitcoin news time. This is where things get nutty. Now, a week or so ago, 10 days ago, I shared this exact tweet from Bitcoin News where Cynthia Lummis thinks Russia is already stacking Bitcoin. And the arms race over Bitcoin instead of weapons would be very welcomed. But there's more. We had this happen today. Oklahoma Strategic Bitcoin Reserve just introduced a bill for it. Wild times. And you think, Oklahoma? What do Oklahoma have? We'll get into that in a second. I got to figure out how to disconnect this Apple stuff. Oh, we have Sylvain in Switzerland. Grüezi wohl. And Osli, thank you so much. But we'll break down exactly what the Oklahoma Strategic Business Reserve could mean with a multiplier effect. And remember, it's just one very small state, but you will be stunned as to how much money these states have. Now, back to Cynthia. She says this. In no uncertain terms, things are about to get crazy. From Bitcoin Archive, what exactly does she mean? Well, just a little reminder, as things are about to get crazy, emotions and excitement can run high. Do not send Bitcoin or crypto to some random wallet address or QR code. As ever, do your own research beforehand. But what she means there, she's hinting at something bigger. She's a senator in the United States, and she knows what's going on. She has the finger on the pulse of the so-called action and discussions and conversations that are happening with this new administration. And people say, stop talking politics. But politics and Bitcoin are inextricably linked, ladies and gentlemen. DBF, thank you so much for coming. This is crazy. Okay, she's subtly hinting that things are about to get really nutty. And I will share some data points that show how nutty they could be as well in a second. But OG, Adam Back, friend of the channel, says, if a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve happens, prepare for 7-figure Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Phil and Dogwan. Everybody's very active today. I appreciate you all. Okay, Adam Back knows Bitcoin. He's one of the guys that made it possible through a piece of technology he wrote over 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. I can't remember how long. But he says, if the SPR happens, expect $1 million Bitcoin. I know that sounds nuts and crazy, but we'll see. Again, and HASHKEY come out as well. These guys are in the know. They believe that Bitcoin could hit $300,000 in 2025. And they are Hong Kong based, and they are a digital asset provider. And their predictions are next level. And Bitcoin is gunning for that 300,000 breakout, according to them. And they even said Ethereum could smash 8,000. You'd rather be in Bitcoin, to be honest, if ETH is only going to go to 8K. And they're also calling for that classic crypto market cap to hit 10 trillion, which is a tripling from now, by the way. And again, they base much of this on the US eyeing a Bitcoin reserve, stablecoin market cap jumping to 300 billion, and a wild ride. In fact, it's interesting because I think somebody at HASHKEY may have watched my 2025 prediction video, because a lot of the data points are very, very familiar. Anyhow, moving on. Malaysia, not just Hong Kong, Malaysia also wants in. And this is the Malaysia's Prime Minister, says our central bank and treasury should study Bitcoin and crypto so we aren't left behind. Super interesting. Again, from what I understand about Malaysia too, crypto's tax-free. So good luck to all the Malaysians out there. You lucky people. And even more too, more afterburners. This is from Bitcoin News, again referring to Pomp. DT should repeal the SAB 121 accounting rule. I think that's going to happen from all the whispers I hear and see. And create a national strategic Bitcoin reserve. Yep, that's what they want to do. And there's a 40% chance of that happening as well this year. And treat Bitcoin for tax purposes like any other currency, with transactions not subject to capital gains tax. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? Alex Rogan, thank you so much for coming down there in Australia. I mean, there's nothing, everywhere you look, every stone you unturn, there's nothing but goodness popping out. But there's more politics. Let's go Tom Emmer. He is now selected as vice chairman of the subcommittee on digital assets, financial technology, and artificial intelligence. And he'll be working very closely with, guess who? David Sachs. David Sachs has a Solana bag and probably a Bitcoin bag as well. But back to Tom Emmer. He said, with President Trump in the White House and Gary Gensler confined to the waste bin of Washington. I love that. I wish I could underline that. Waste bin of Washington. It's nice. Trash can, waste bin, whatever. We have an excellent opportunity to ensure that the future of digital assets is guided by Americans with American values. I look forward to working with Chairman Rep. French Hill and Brian Steele and a whole bunch of colleagues to foster more adoption. Again, things in crypto could really be kicking off, and way, way wilder than my wildest imaginations. But there's more, even more. And it's related to law and regulation, etc. This is from Reuters. Reuters, believe it or not. They said Trump's new SEC leadership poised to kickstart crypto overhaul. Again, overhaul means killing these stupid rules that are in place, like SAB 121 and all that other good stuff. Put in proper regulation that Gary Gensler could not do. It's going to be great for the space. And again, think of crypto as well as being one of the key foundations. AI and crypto, both under Sachs. It's very, very important to embrace both. In fact, they both reflect my exact entire portfolio and have done since 2022. See the pattern here, everybody? Always. It's very important in life to identify patterns and move ahead of the tsunami. Very critical. Joe the Hun, thank you for coming. I'm glad. I hope the technology is working. I hope people can hear me. And another little kind of bit of news, history blast in the past, but just in as well. U.S. government says 120,000 Bitcoin stolen in the 2016 hack should be returned to Bitfinex. And they go into voluntary restrictions should include all of the assets seized from the Bitfinex hack wallet, and that pursuant to the plea agreement, those assets should be returned to Bitfinex as in-kind restitution. That could be very interesting. I did not see that coming. It was not on my bingo card. Anyway, let's get into the charts because that's where the real story is. tons of charts, tons of data. First of all, black chart time. These are the ugly charts. I only found one for today, and it's actually a black chart with a silver lining. And this from EJ Anthony. Inflation reaccelerated in December, with monthly increases in CPI hitting fastest pace since March 2024 at an annualized rate of 4.8%. You see, everybody? That's annualized, the monthly annualized nearly 5%. What happened to the magical 2%? The answer is gone. But instead of this spiking and rattling markets, it made markets run. Again, bad news is good news again. Good news is bad news. Anyway, at this pace, price doubles in less than 15 years. But debasement in reality is a lot higher, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard me harp on about that. Who remembers 14%? Anyway, EJ Anthony also said, this is the cluster dumpster that Biden is handing to Trump. Again, it's going to be a mess. And a lot of stuff needs to be fixed. And that will take some time, but we are seeing a front run of the January 20th event. A lot of people are very excited, and the markets are very excited today, as you can see in the numbers in your portfolios. So congratulations, you made it. Now let's get into the good charts, the gold charts. First of all, high volatility is high return. This is a cool little chart I saw on X earlier today. I forget who posted it, and I apologize for that. I can't remember everything. But I think the term was, yeah, but Bitcoin having 30 to 50% CAGR, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point is, if you look at this chart, you'll see Bitcoin shows extremely high volatility with significant growth rates. Okay, 1 year CAGR, 126%. Means you got 126% in 1 year. 2 year average compound annual growth rate, 114%. 3 year, 31%. Okay. That 3 year includes a nasty year where Bitcoin fell 78%. That's why the CAGR falls. But even at that, the 4 year CAGR is still 28%. It still smokes everything when you include the nasty bear market numbers. Go back 14 years, 145% CAGR. That type of return is nuts. That turns $1 into like $1 million. Just FYI. Anyway, you can see here Bitcoin's CAGR significantly outpaced gold over that time frame, which only made 5% CAGR, and S&P 500 only made 11% over the last 14 years. Again, if you're not making 14%, you're drowning, as I'll emphasize again. But there's a lot more. Live to ride. I love motorbikes and riding bicycles too. This is from TKL, the Kobasi letter. Google Trends interest in Bitcoin are currently at their highest level since 2021. Worldwide, different situation in different countries. You know, it's high in places like Switzerland, etc., but not so high in other places. But worldwide, interest has peaked. However, the search interest is still below the 2017 peak and spike seen in 2019, but still it's coming. And the key is, if Bitcoin prices have surged, a huge amount, we're trading nearly $100,000, and Bitcoin is hot. What happens if it really does blow off and goes completely nuts and goes banana zone? I don't know. Everybody will be looking up. Google might get a little bit of a comeback, because I know people are using different things now instead of Google for searching stuff. And the other good news too is historical unrealized Bitcoin losses are now marginal. This from the team at Glassnode. You can see that nobody is basically losing money. Very good news. Everybody's kind of in profit at this level. So that's also good. Very good for the space. But this is really the important one. This is why I think there is a chance that in 2025 we do get a supply crunch. Let me explain why. Bitcoin's liquid supply has dropped below 5 million Bitcoin. This is extending its nearly year-long decline. See that black line going down? Ding. Versus the green line price. Notice how they are inversely correlated. Again, this really reflects the simple economic laws of supply and demand. Now, if you had all the money in the world and you wanted to try get your hands on 6 million Bitcoin, it means you probably can't. Okay? 5 million is probably all you can ever buy. Think about that. 5 million. People talk 21 million Bitcoin is 21 million. No, according to this chart, there's only 5 million liquid that can be wrangled from my cold dead hands, or whatever they say, the Charleston Heston, I think is the guy's name. I forgot it last time I was trying to say that. Anyway, that's important. Now, another cool chart you might find interesting, because I did. This is how the United States is very bullish under Trump. And because per this chart from Crypto Quant, they believe under Trump, Bitcoin could hit 249,000 in 2025 because 520 billion in fresh capital is expected to flow in. Now, I will tell you for a fact, if that much flows in, we're going a lot higher than 250K. And I'll explain that in a second with my multiplier. But you can see here, the realized cap is projected to reach 820 billion, which would be a 440 billion increase from 2022, representing a 1.1x increase from 2022, and a total increase of 56 billion from 2021 to 2025. Again, as I say, if $520 billion of fresh capital comes in, we're going a lot higher than 250K. And I don't think that amount will come in. That's a lot. But let's talk about some money and where the money is, because this brings me to my latest multiplier. And it's kind of interesting. This BlackRock assets under management hit a record $11.55 trillion. What's crazy, that's more than the combined market cap of Canada, France, United Kingdom, and Australia. I see people in the audience here from Canada, United Kingdom, and Australia. Shout out if there's any French in the audience. I know for a fact there are Australians, Brits, and Canadians. But that is nuts. 11.55 trillion. One firm, one money runner has more than 4 major countries. Bonkers to think about. But I'm talking about money for a second because this is important. A large part of the inflow that came into BlackRock was driven by this. These are digital asset fund flows for the year 2024. So again, look back at the different years. Actually, this is from Bank of America, Global Investment Research. Look at the money that came in 2019, the tiny little black line, tiny little blue line 2020. 2021, a little bit of a spike up to nearly $4.5 billion. 2022, dead. 2023, dead until the very end of the year. They took in about $1.5 billion. And then $38 billion came in 2024. So think about, a lot of people get tied up and wrapped around the axle. Super Soul Man, thank you for having me. They get tied around the axle. I'm going to step after this. They get tied around the axle because they think in terms of charts and TAs and comparing cycles and everything else. As I've been saying, this was all, 2024 was all driven by the ETFs, not by retail and a little bit of treasuries, and that's it. This chart tells you exactly that. More money is coming in. Okay, they're buying Bitcoin. Less people are selling. Asset price goes up. There's no TA required to understand this, okay? It's buying pressure from inflows of cash. That's it. Money flow drives the price. Why I say follow the money. But then I decided, you know what? That's interesting. Assuming it's just this 38 billion, which most of it did go into Bitcoin, but some into other assets. But I assumed, okay, 38 billion came in. And I calculated my multiplier. Where is it? Here. The slide is out of order. Give me 1 second. Pull that down. We'll get back to Oklahoma in a second. Because 38 billion, why it's relevant. But 38 billion just from the ETFs came in, call it mostly into BlackRock, etc. The Bitcoin market cap during this time frame went from 803 billion up to 1.2 trillion. All right. If you imagine it's just the 38 billion that came in, that gives you a 31.58 multiplier from this flow alone. That also included a ton of grayscale selling, which is now done with pretty much. So that's huge. So just from the ETFs, the 38 billion into the ETFs drove a 32x multiplier. You always hear me talking about the 21 and the 42 and the 56 and the 112 based on the halving. These guys alone drove that price up. Now, what's key is if we get another 40 billion, which is my minimum into the ETFs in 2025, we're going to go up a lot more with a higher multiplier. Because what's also very important is remember this. There's less supply available to buy. Okay? The sellers are pretty much done. The long-term holders that typically sell during a bull run, They are 67, 70% done. They don't have any more bags to sell. And that's what's crazy. Now, let me put another... Sorry about talking so many numbers, but it's a numbers channel, so hope you like them. But 38 billion, 40 billion, 42 billion. What's interesting about that number? Oklahoma, a tiny little state in the U.S. Shout out to anybody watching from Oklahoma. Let me know if you're in the audience. The Oklahoma Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill allows the state retirement funds to invest in Bitcoin. Okay? They have 42 billion in these funds. You got the teachers' retirement system, 23 billion. The Oklahoma Public Employees Retirement System, etc. The firefighters, shout out to the firefighters, etc. I mean, the police, law enforcement, conservation. 42 billion. Tiny state. Can you imagine what's in? I think there's nearly $1 trillion in California, maybe more, 1.5 trillion. I just want to share this because of the domino effect. Once these puppies come in, others will follow. Okay? Where are you going to park so much money when there's so little Bitcoin available for sale? This is what's bullish. And I'm not even talking about Malaysia or Hong Kong or United Kingdom or, Switzerland, all these other places where they will allocate to Bitcoin. Even if it's 1 or 2%, that'd be huge. But this is big, and it just gives you an idea of how much money we're talking about. Now, next, money, because we're talking about money. Sugdiv, thank you. Hope I pronounced that right. Global cash in the sideline is now a record $10 trillion. Global money market assets. US alone is $7 trillion, another $3 trillion around the world. As rates go down, which they have to go down, they can't stay so high, especially because the world is built on debt, has to come down. And all this cash on the sideline will also be looking for a home, just like the money in Oklahoma and other places. Madness. Absolutely madness when you think about it. No matter how much demand there is for Bitcoin, you can't print more. But there's probably a country somewhere around the world that's printing fiat to buy Bitcoin. And that's what's happening. Jay, everybody's so happy today. We're back at like 100K. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I'm so happy to be here. But there's more. As I said, in 2024, in fact, I was at Fred Kruger's event, Bitcoin event, and I said, treasuries are it. Treasuries. That's going to be massive in 2025. And I said this in 2024. And companies buying Bitcoin, there's an overlooked mega trend, and this from Matt Haugen, who knows. He knows exactly what's up. And it's not just MicroStrategy, it's everybody. And it is a mega trend that nobody understands. So forget the pensions and the strategic Bitcoin reserves for nation states. Just think about treasuries for corporations. Bonkers. I'm going to talk about one of them right now. MicroStrategy, which is the biggest one and the one I've been playing since 2020. MicroStrategy benchmark investor meeting summary was really fascinating. And shout out to Sanjay as well for getting it to me. They hosted an investor meeting with Michael Saylor, and Michael Saylor broke down a couple of things. One, he talked about his new preferred stock strategy. He now favors preferred stock for MicroStrategy's capital structure. He believes it reduces fragility in mitigating liquidity risk, so people aren't going to trade it in. Also, he appreciates the extended duration of perpetual preferreds, which I think they're 4 to 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. I can't recall exactly. And when he talked about the bond market, he said now he views the bond market as dead money. I've been calling it dead money for decades, but he calls it dead money, and the bond market's broken. And we see that as well. And the Fed can't control it, etc. He also sees perpetual preferred stock as an interesting vehicle because of its dividend payments. And I believe they could start issuing convertibles at a credit coupon to help fund the dividend payments for this preferred stock as well. Preferred stock typically pays a little bit of a dividend on top. And they're higher in the capital structure in case anything goes wrong. And we'll see exactly what happens. He's been kind of quiet this week. I think he might be looking at some preferred stock issuance, as well as the vote that's coming up on the 21st of January, which is a foregone conclusion. I covered that yesterday. But the other cool thing about this report from Benchmark is they still have their price target of 650 on MicroStrategy. Let's check the MicroStrategy price as we're speaking right now. It's over 360. Big day, up 30. No, hang on. That was Oh my God, Tesla's up $32. MicroStrategy up nearly $19, $361. Big day for assets. Wonderful. That's why everybody's happy. Anyway, there's more news. Hard to believe it's a big day for Bitcoin, so we got to cover it all. This one is super interesting as well. This is a huge impact, and it's a cool little chart that shows you how under previous accounting rules, Bitcoin was treated as an indefinitely, whatever, something, indefinite lived intangible asset, whatever. It has to be marked down to the lowest price, like a baseball card. But this meant companies could only record impairment losses when value dropped below the purchase price. But it did not recognize gains on the way up, okay, until the asset is sold. Sailor's not selling, therefore he couldn't mark to market. That was the whole problem. Now, the new FASB rules, Financial Accounting Standards Board, require companies to measure cryptocurrencies at fair value, reporting unrealized gains or losses directly to their income statements every quarter. This is why this is interesting. So if you calculate the total fair value gain for the quarter for MicroStrategy, they have, well, looking at it there, you can see 1.391 billion plus 5.11 million is about 1.4 billion, okay? You calculate the amount of shares that they have, divide 1.4 billion by the amount of shares, that's the earnings per share for just one quarter. This thing, per my calculations, was trading at a PE of like 4 or 6, which would be stupidly cheap. Again, it requires Bitcoin to go up for them to make more profit, but this is how things are going to completely change, and that's the impact of this new FASB rule. I don't know yet if MicroStrategy are going to conform to this in this quarter or the next, but they will pretty soon, and that will have a big impact on the stock too. And remember these guys? Yep, still have a $650 target. And just a quick refresher as well, this is MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin since August 2020, when they started stacking Bitcoin. And you can see the orange line is MicroStrategy, and it's still up over 1,000%, whereas Bitcoin in the same time frame up 428%. Again, 428% is bonkers, but 1,000% is nicer. That's a 10x on your money in a pretty short window of time. So that is the story today. Playlist for Bitcoin only stuff and proxies will be up here afterwards. And I hope you like the content and hope you like the day. Nearly 9,000 people watching live. That's amazing. Thank you all for coming, everybody. Thank you again, Sean Donnelly, TND Tesla, K8, American Beijing, the whole gang here. And of course, Invested. That's a cool name. My eyes are shut. I can't read this. JDW. Thank you. And SigDiv. I hope I pronounced that right. Drop a comment below if I'm not. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye.